Yeah, let's call
Okay.
it to order. Call to order at 5:37. Let me get to my document here. Okay, thanks everybody for doing this special meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll go ahead and lead that. If everyone can find a flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Secretary, if you could call the roll, please.
Jeremy Boucher,
Present.
Aaron Montano present, Bryn King,
Present.
Gabriel Sook,
Present.
Rebecca Boucher. I'll just mark her as absent for now.
She's here.
Aha, just kidding. Mark Masick,
Present.
and then Terry Frazier. Absent.
I'm just gonna, so Terry's still having a hard time. I'm just gonna call her and just kind of speak her in on my phone, on my computer.
Okay.
Hey Terry, so I called the meeting to order. I'm just gonna have you I'm gonna put you on speaker here right next to my computer. So that I think that'll work.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, go ahead and call. So let's test that real quick, Aaron, and see if Terry can hear you.
Okay, Terry Frazier.
Perfect.
Okay,
Present. Yes. Okay.
got it. Present. Yeah. Okay, great. So first thing here is approval of the agenda. And right off the bat, I would like to move action item number 6 into number 5. Let's move the new board member vote first, because I think we've got some people on the line here. So let's move that first and then vote on new board officers after that. Is there any discussion on that?
That sounds good.
All right. I move to switch items number 5 and 6 on the agenda so we can vote on new board members first. Do I have a second?
I second. Oh,
All right. Moved by the chair, seconded by Terry Frazier and and Gabe at the same time. Is there any further discussion? All right, let's vote. Rebecca, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Bryn?
Aye.
Gabe?
aye.
Awesome. Okay. So let's move on to that first item now, which will be the new board member vote. And so today we have a special guest for the record. Looks like we have a couple of people on. So Bill Lee has joined us. He has been in conversations with several people, I think, about joining the board of Hozho Academy. And so I would like to, for those of you who don't know Bill, he's been in Gallup his pretty much his whole life. He's been working in the Chamber of Commerce as the executive director over there for years and years. He also did a couple of stints at the county. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, as both a county manager for a while and a county elected representative. The word for that is escaping me right now. Commissioner, thank you. And so he's got he's got a long history of organizational management, a lot of experience with leadership, training, and just overall excellence in everything he does. So I think he'd be a great fit for the board for all those reasons. But I'm just going to turn it over to Bill. And Bill, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're interested in the board, and let us know if you have any questions about serving on the board. So, Bill Lee.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Bill Lee, glad to be here. And for those of you who don't know, I am pretty much, as Jeremy said, a lifelong Gallupian. I was born and for the most part raised in Gallup. Early on in my life, my mom married a man who was my stepfather, who was in natural gas pipeline construction. And so we bounced around a good part of the country for a long, long time. In fact, changed schools 13 times in 1 year. I've seen my share of the United States and then some, border to border, coast to coast, dipped my toe in both oceans, and have enjoyed the journey all the way around. I am, as Jeremy said, currently serving as the president and CEO of the Gallup-McKinley County Chamber of Commerce, but that role will come to an end in December when I plan to retire, but not retire from work. I also have a consultant business called Fourth Element Leadership, where I specialize in coaching teams and individuals in working with them, particularly through the Clifton Strengths program, if you're familiar with that, through the Gallup organization. And then I also am certified through the John Maxwell Leadership Program for training and speaking there as well. So I'll continue to do that. I also have a part-time hot air balloon ride business, very active in hot air ballooning. In fact, we'll be up in Gunnison, Colorado this coming weekend for our 4th of July rally up there. I fly the Sugar Skull balloon, which is proudly featuring the New Mexico True logo. I fly for the tourism department for the state. Currently serve also on 2 committees for the state, or 2 commissions. The governor has appointed me to the State Tourism Commission, and I'm also appointed to the Route 66 Centennial Committee. So doing work there. So although I'm retiring in December, I plan to stay busy and do a whole lot of other things. Reason for interest in Hozho Academy. I have watched this school grow from the time it came online and have always been very much impressed with uh, its curriculum, its role in our community, and the drive and the mission that it seems to have in providing a curriculum and a path forward that will, I believe, um, be critical in keeping our workforce growing in a way that will thrive and be better for our Gallup McKinley County community. Um, we know that a lot of folks here stay close to home for family ties and cultural reasons. And I think the kind of education that comes from Hozho Academy is the kind of education that builds a strong foundation for a great work ethic and a great workforce and for leadership. And so I have been very much, an, I guess, an advocate for all the work that Hozho has done. I know that the administrative staff is by far and away a very good group of solid leaders and people who I believe have the best interest of our community and of the students at Hozho in their hearts. And so for that reason, I would welcome an opportunity to serve on this board and hopefully make a difference for the good and be of benefit with my experience in organizational management and governance for sure. I am sort of a governance geek. Not many people love bylaws and articles of incorporation and stuff like that, but I do have a great deal of respect for that part. I am a graduate of the United States Chamber of Commerce school called the Institute for Organization Management. It's a great process, and certainly taught me a lot about how nonprofits run and the legalities and how the governance is important behind them and roles of boards and that sort of thing. So I think that probably goes deeper than maybe you wanted me to, Jeremy, but there you have it. And I'm open for any questions if anybody has anything.
No, that's great. That's kind of that's what I was looking for. So my only question would be, Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 10 hours now for new board members, right? Training?
Yep.
You're
I
just
think so.
finishing that up? Okay.
Yep.
So that's the only question is, or do you feel confident that you'd be able to complete the 10 hours the first year and then the 8 hours or is it 8 hours still?
It's 5 now.
5 now. Oh, that's so nice. All right. Well, that's nice. So anyway, new board member training is 10 hours the first year, 5 years of professional development training each year. Does that sound reasonable to you? Doable?
Oh, yeah. Is this a fiscal year, July through June, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So that training would have to be completed by June of next year, the first
Correct.
10 hours. Yeah.
Yep.
That, that doesn't seem unreasonable. It's about an hour a month or less. So yeah, I believe that's not anything that's not achievable. Is it done online or is it done through?
There's a bunch of different options. Actually, they have made it over the last few years. They've made it much easier. So you can actually sign on to Canvas and get a lot of that stuff done kind of at your own pace. They offer online trainings now where you can get on that with them live, sort of more interactive version of that. And I think they're still doing like one or two in-person, full-blown, like you can get the whole thing all out of the way.
There's a conference, I think, too, every year that can count towards your training. But the simplest way is Canvas, and you can go at your own pace. There'll be a number of modules in it. So, and kind of each module would take up about an hour, they say, and then you can do the module, you take the quiz, and you're done. So you can really, go at it at your leisure, and it's pretty simple to do.
Is this done through Hillsdale or is this?
No, this is New Mexico PED. So this
Gotcha.
is
Okay.
this is the state.
Yeah. Well, so that's another thing, though, to keep in mind. Also, would you be willing to take a trip to Hillsdale and go through their board training? They have 2 a year that are it's like a full weekend, and they really encourage. We have not sent anybody yet, but they really want us to come out and do one of their trainings at Hillsdale. And there's one in November, I think, and one in the springtime. So that's another option. Most of that doesn't count. It would be an addition. But that's also something that's out there. Would be a good thing for us to start doing.
So I would say, yeah, tentatively based on scheduling and that sort of thing. Absolutely. I would be open to that idea. Hopefully I'm going to have a little more time on my hands, although I'm beginning to wonder if that's really going to be the case.
If you keep putting your hand up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions for us as far as, I don't know, anything that you were wondering about the board about?
So are meetings on a monthly basis and generally an hour in length? What is the commitment there? And what are the foundational committees of the board?
Great question. So really what we have right now, we have one committee, which is the audit committee. And from time to time, they have in the past gone in and pulled some samples and kind of helped out, just helping with the staff develop systems. We also have a finance committee, which will from time to time meet beforehand for our meetings, but then our general board meetings are the last Tuesday of the month at like 5:10, 5:20, and we're usually around an hour. We try to keep it reasonable, hour and a half sometimes, depending on the kinds of things that we're dealing with. But for the most part, the really nice thing, and you mentioned this, Bills, the curriculum is already set. So really what we're looking at is just the curriculum is set. Most of our policies are in place. We discuss policies as things, need arises, and Julianne comes to us and says, hey, we're having this issue or that issue, or our lawyer or counsel says, hey, we should probably look at this, that, or the other thing. And as they come up, then we discuss. And usually Julianne has got that stuff really well dialed in with the help of our legal counsel. And so it runs pretty smoothly for the most part. We are always facing financial not financial like problems, but it's always a matter of cash flow issues with the way the state pays us, right? So we go through, we have an approved budget every year. It always balances. It's just a matter of when that cash comes in. So we talk a lot about that kind of stuff. And then we'll take a look at audit stuff. Sometimes that takes a little longer. So those meetings at the beginning, just before the beginning of our new fiscal year, tend to be a little bit longer because you're going through the budget and audit and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, we're in and out in about an hour.
Are there any other specific state requirements for board members beyond the hours of training that need to be done?
No, nope.
Okay.
That's all they require. Yeah. Pretty straightforward. So, okay.
And how many people are on the board?
So we're limited to 7 right now. I think. Pretty sure
I
it's
think we go to
Nine.
9.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So we're limited to 9 right now tonight. If you get elected, we'll be at 5 because we will time out. I will time out. Bryn and also Aaron will time out. So we're also going to go through and do board officer election after this, so that moving forward, once I drop off, Julianne will have somebody to sign checks, and we'll have a new president to take over those roles because she'll need that right away. But we can go up from 5 as our minimum. We can go all the way up to 9.
And what is the maximum amount of term?
Right now, I think we extended our terms to 3 2-year terms, so it's a total of 6.
Okay.
6 years maximum.
Actually, it's 9, Jeremy. It's 3
Right.
consecutive 3-year terms.
3 consecutive 3-year terms. Have I been doing this for 9 years?
Yep. I was pregnant with Daphne when we got started.
Oh, wow.
That is wild. Okay, I'm wrong. I stand corrected. Thank you, Julianne. Yeah, so it's 3 3-year terms consecutively. Now we're pretty sure that that's another thing. We'd like to add a membership committee. So basically, we'd have audit committee, membership committee, finance committee, because that's going to be a major thing moving forward. Is kind of having those new members identified.
Audit and finance are mandated kind of by the state. So those are the 2 things that we have to do.
Sure.
I guess the other thing I would say within kind of the time commitment is, the static kind of baseline time commitment is pretty minimal. It's the monthly board meetings, but kind of as, if you join the board and as you get involved, I hope, for all of us, there's areas we see where kind of our abilities and interest aligns with the need, and kind of you can get stuck in, into certain things more kind of as you kind of get to know the school and the board. But that's really, I think that's kind of at the individual's discretion.
Right?
Yes. So I guess that leads to my final question that I had, Jeremy, and board members, is that so I was more or less approached in terms of interest, and I'm just wondering if there are key areas in my skill set that you have identified that you would like me to kind of zero in on, or those skills that you want me to bring to the board in particular.
I would say that we could really use somebody with your organizational experience, and maybe even if you felt so inclined, maybe run our board, your fellow board members through a training of through some of your leadership stuff, since you have so much experience with that. I think that'd be really helpful. The other thing that I think you could really bring to the table is just all the goodwill that you have in the community. So I think just your presence on the board would be good, just as far as that goes, bringing goodwill. And then, of course, all the years that you've spent in Santa Fe, all the connections that you have with the state and people who are in the apparatus up there, we can always, again, we can always use help with that goodwill up there. I think we have a pretty good reputation at this point. When we first got started, things were a little rocky with the PEC. But I think we've proved that we're not just some fly-by-night loonies who want to teach kids Latin. That we've shown that we're a serious organization, and Julianne's done an excellent job of just crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and proving that we're here to stay. We're not messing around. We'll get the job done. We do have a good reputation, but there's still a lot of sticking points just in the machinery. You know what I'm talking about. So I think that on that level, you could be helpful as well if there's any spots where we need to, maybe pull some levers a little bit harder with certain parts of the bureaucracy. So I think those are the three main things.
Yeah,
you can.
I would just add on that. I think we could absolutely. We're also going through kind of a big transition right now from being renters of our building to being owners of our building through a lease to purchase agreement that we finalized, I think, at the last board meeting, which actually makes a really big difference in terms of funds we can access, grants, federal, state, but all of that stuff really needs political connections that I don't know. I mean, we have some of, but I don't think you can ever have enough. And, if you're interested and able and feel like you have the connections and the bandwidth just to kind of expand our kind of connection into Santa Fe, I think it could make a massive difference. And I don't completely understand how all of it works, but we were limited before as a renter for any kind of infrastructure related funds because the state, understandably so, is not going to give us state money to kind of, build on or refurbish or do anything on a property that they don't own or that can't be in state control. But now that that's changing, that opens up a lot of opportunity. I think we already have a cafeteria grant that's going to go, but I think somebody on the board who is able and willing to make a commitment just to kind of liaise with Santa Fe, I think could make a very big difference.
Well, I'm happy to do that, and I should have said this too. Part of my consultant business is also staying on as a lobbyist. I know the chamber is going to contract with me to do some lobbying work on their behalf up in Santa Fe during the sessions, and I'm also hiring on with another gentleman and his lobbying company. So I'll be up in Santa Fe a lot, and certainly I will have to mind my P's and Q's when it comes to conflicts of interest and that sort of thing. But I think by and large that that won't be an issue. I would be happy to advocate on behalf of the organization.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great fit. If you're willing, so I guess that's the question. Having said all that, are you would you accept a nomination to serve on the board?
Can I take a day or two to think about? No, I'm kidding you, Jeremy. Obviously, I wouldn't have jumped on the Zoom call this evening if I wasn't willing. So yes, I would accept it.
Just for the record, great. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I at this point, I would entertain a motion to nominate Mr. Bill Lee to serve on the board of Hozho Academy Governing Council as of the 1st of July 2025. Do I have a motion?
Yeah,
I'd like to motion to nominate Bill as a member of the board for Hozho beginning July 2025.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Great. Any further discussion? Anybody else have a? All right, they're hearing no further discussion. I'm going to call for the vote. Gabe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Bryn,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Terry.
Aye.
Well, that's pretty good. Unanimous. We'll take it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I look forward to working with all of you and to the great work that Hozho Academy gives to our community. So happy to be a part of a good organization and the leadership that's behind it. Thanks.
We appreciate you. Thanks, Bill. You're more than welcome to stay on if you want, but if you've got to go, I totally understand. We're going to move on to the board officer vote.
All right, just don't elect me to the officer position. I know what happens when you're not here. So I will. I do have a previous commitment, so I'm going to jump if you all don't mind.
Not a problem. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate you, man.
Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we got to get down to the nitty gritty here because, man, some things are shifting. So we basically have to replace all of our office. Well, all except for the vice president. I think, Rebecca, you're the vice president right now, but we can. It's kind of we can move around and do. We can reelect any position at this point. So I'm just going to start off, use my prerogative as the chair here. And first, I'd like to nominate, I'm just going to start with the president position. I'd like to nominate Gabe. He's really, I think, with his technical expertise, his past nonprofit experience, and his willingness just to jump in here and figure all this stuff out and kind of wrangle all of us the last month or so when I've been completely MIA. That's been massively helpful. I think he'd make a great president of the board. So I'm just going to throw that nomination out there.
I motion to nominate Gabe Sook as the president of our governing board.
All right, moved and seconded. All right, no other nominations. All right.
That's a full action. Do you want me to write it that way?
Well, let me just ask one more time. Any other nominations?
Because we will need a secretary and treasurer.
Right.
So are we doing all of that at one time?
Yeah. Well, I think let's just. I guess we could do that all at one time. Well, let's just go through each one. I think we'll do that way.
As each of them, that will be its own action item or own motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So first would be Gabe. So it was moved by Bryn, seconded by Terry. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Rebecca, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn?
Aye.
Thank
Aaron?
you.
Aye.
Sorry, Aaron, did you say?
Yes,
say-
aye.
Aye, okay. And Terry?
Aye.
And Gabe, you can vote for yourself.
Okay. Aye.
All right, great, congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll do great. Okay, so we currently have a vice president. I think we can hang on that one for now, that we don't need to do a replacement there. So let's move on to the secretary. So secretary is responsible for jotting down the notes and sending all that stuff over to the school for the minutes. Do I have any nominations for secretary of the remaining people we have here? So we have either Rebecca, Terry, or Mark.
I think we lost Mark. Did he? It looks like he's not on anymore, but
Mark's not on, okay.
yeah.
And I think Rebecca is already has an office. She's vice president.
Oh, right, yeah, so she can't be nominated for anything else. So it's,
If I could please chime in,
Yes, please.
Because of other duties and stuff that I have on other board functions, I would just like to respectfully decline an officer position at this point, if that's doable.
I think that's fair, Terry. So that leaves Mark.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you hop off the call. So- huh?
I would nominate Mark to serve as the secretary.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, moved and seconded.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, there being no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Gabe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rebecca, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
All right, looks like Mark's got a new job. Okay, and so Bryn, you'd been serving as the treasurer, correct? I think that's how we, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so that leaves only one more person. But he's not officially a member of the board yet.
So, and I guess Dan's not on, but Julianne, is your understanding that we can't have somebody serving in two officer roles? Does that sound right?
I don't believe that you can.
Okay.
But there's also steps that you can take within the next item in the agenda if you want to extend the bylaws for one more additional year while we transition. That's also possible, and anybody who's willing to stay on and not want to age off could stay on for another year. So Bryn or Aaron, I don't know if Jeremy, if you wanted to, but that's just something to consider. That's an option if we want to transition year.
And to do that, we would have to amend the bylaws and then kind of get them approved by the state.
Yes, you'd amend the bylaws and just changing it to however you want it to read, like 3 consecutive 3-year terms. And we would have to, I'm not 100% sure when anybody came on the board before me. So it's like when that time actually started. I'm not sure when the board actually began running. So maybe there's a few people who have not been the full 9 years. So
Bryn, didn't you say something to me before that you thought maybe you weren't?
I was thinking, I mean, because I came on slightly after Jeremy and Aaron, but I was trying to do the math. Cabron's been in the school for 7 years, and I believe we started a year before that. And so in my mind, I was thinking 8 years, but that's why I'm just trying to like figure out if I've done the math wrong or like what, you know.
I think you came on after Julianne, Bryn.
No, I was on before Julianne.
Oh, so were you meeting at?
We were meeting at
Patrick's
office, and
okay.
I think even before that, we were meeting in the train station for a few of those meetings before Julianne with Rachel and Patrick. But haven't we only been at school for 9 solid years? Because I was trying to add from Cabron. Cabron did 5th grade, and he completed 11th grade. So he's going to be starting his after next year, he will have finished 8 years at Hozho.
Well, yes, that's so we started the fiscal year before school started.
Right. Which would be 8 years, right?
So depending on when you started, yes, I know you went through, and we were officially a charter school as of 2017. So I'm not sure when everyone came on, but this would be everyone's 9th year, I think, regardless if you were here before the school opened. But when your actual time is up, what actual date, that was before my time, and I don't have a record of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so does it go by fiscal year? Or does it go by actual like date of election to the end of the fiscal year? That, I guess that's the question.
So
And that might be a question for Dan Hill, but just to keep things safe, if you want to adjust the bylaws in any way to make sure we're covered.
Dan seemed to, he was on our call last week and he seemed to kind of feel against that. I
yeah,
felt like, I don't know if, if there's just a lot of work on his end that is required to go through all of that. And he had said something like, we're already kind of in the limelight a little bit with the state. So that might, bring other attention, unwanted attention.
Well, I think we could do some research to figure out when you actually came on the board. The reason I think he wouldn't do that work I would be doing the work to
Oh,
get
gotcha.
stuff to the PEC. But I think his comment was that, we try to limit the number of times we bring stuff before the PEC just to kind of lay low and be under the radar, but
Right.
just being on their agenda every single meeting. So,
so
I think
I have a suggestion of how we could maybe proceed is if Terry is willing for a short period of time to step in as treasurer. Bryn, correct me, is there a lot of, in the say she was treasurer for the next month at least, is there a lot of work or extra work that she could be expected to do, or is if I get the kind of ability to,
No, because all of our names are on, the treasurer's name as well as the president's name is on anything to sign. I feel like Katie's go-to is generally Jeremy. But it's more just being available. And I think that she already put you in place over the summer, right? As available.
I can approve the bars, but I think that this separate thing is
Check registers.
yeah. So I guess my suggestion would be if Terry's willing to go on as treasurer for now, that keeps us from having to amend the bylaws. The other thing Dan said, and Bryn, I don't want to put you on the spot, but the other thing Dan said is that he didn't see, necessarily anything wrong with a board member whose term lapsed and then rejoined the board. So if you were willing to carry on for another year and would rejoin the board, maybe at the next board meeting, that could be an option too. But maybe the safest thing seems like if Terry is willing to kind of step in for now with the understanding that we will either when Bill joins the board tomorrow or by adding you back to the board at our next board meeting, that seems like it would cover all our bases with keeping us compliant without needing to go to the PEC and amend our bylaws.
Yeah. And that would be fine. Just to be honest, I would love to stay on the board and see Cabron's graduating class through.
Okay.
For me, that would be really fulfilling. But I understand if, I don't want to put our board at a weird situation or make us have to do extra work with, the state in order to make that happen.
Nor do I, and I'll step in to do whatever needs to be done, to just keep us compliant, keep us
Well, and
whatever we need to be.
so Terry, just to reiterate here, everything that the treasurer is on, the president is also on. So there are very few time consuming duties. It's maybe stepping in to sign some things, approve certain things from time to time, but it hasn't happened very often. And then because we all vote on and approve the check registers and all that stuff, so that comes before all of us. So there's very little time commitment there. So if you would be willing to do that, that'd be great. I just think so. I think it would be good or Bryn, if we were able to like look into that, and if you were willing to come back on, that'd be great for some continuity. But I think it's really important. The biggest con anyway for me of like removing term limits, or just like we could just indefinitely keep voting ourselves, another term or whatever. And I think as the organization grows, and it's got to kind of grow beyond the founding members, we want to leave some things in place there that will give future boards the opportunity to get rid of somebody if they become a problem. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah, definitely.
it's hard enough to remove somebody, but it's like, okay, if somebody times out, that's a mechanism of sort of, controlling. I don't know, if someone is not fulfilling their role, and within the vision and the mission of the school. So I think it's really important that we kind of refresh and get some new blood, but also maintain some continuity. So if we can, if Bryn can, I think it would be good. So Terry, if you would be willing to step in until we figure out what the rules are on that,
Sure.
that would help us out.
Sure. Done deal.
And then I'll check with Dan. I'll send Dan an email when we get off, just about the procedure, he sounded like we could add Bryn back, once her term had lapsed, and so, but I will follow up with him to make sure he's seems okay with that. And then, assuming everything goes to plan, then, Bryn, if you're able to join the board back, next month, then we could also put you back as treasurer.
Okay, and either way, like I don't really mind, but I'm just nervous that you guys aren't going to vote me back on. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right. That being said, I would entertain a motion to nominate Terry Fraser to the treasurer's office. Do I have a motion?
I motion to nominate Terry Fraser to the treasurer's office.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, there being no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Gabe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Bryn?
Aye.
Rebecca? She's unmuting. Rebecca?
There she.
Aye.
Sorry, say again?
Yes. Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. And Terry?
Aye. You hear me?
Yep,
Aye.
all right. Unanimous. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Terry, for stepping up there and saving our bacon on that. Okay, that is all of the officers for now. Next action requested. I think this has kind of been borne out in the conversation that we're not going to take action on this. So I would at this time entertain a motion to table the next action item, term limit removal. Do I have a motion?
I move to table the action item on extension of governing council term limits.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Gabe, seconded by Terry. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Gabe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rebecca, how do you vote? Technical difficulties. All right,
Right.
I'll come back. Aaron, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, I think we have, I think the ayes carry it. Okay, Julianne, you're up next. Do you have a principal's report? I know it's been just a few days. So
Yes, been a few days, but I think maybe some of you have seen some articles in the newspaper.
we've seen it.
So, yeah, it's a tough situation. And I just to let you know that in working with Dan Hill and Mr. Malcolm, that he has decided to resign. So he will not be at the school. I just felt like you might have had some questions about that, and just wanted to give you an update. But that's all the new news that I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. That's good information. A lot of people have, well, it's always like, oh, did you see the newspaper? Yes.
Right. I know, or Facebook and all that. The other thing is that the state did grant us our rural units. I don't know if that got to everybody,
No, I
information.
didn't. That's great. That's great news.
Yeah. And going forward for in perpetuity, we shall be
Awesome.
receiving those rural units. So
That's huge.
it's a big win.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well done, Julianne. And I'm sure Katie
It's
also.
just-
Yeah.
and yep, Katie, Dan, it's a team.
Yeah, you guys did great. Oh yeah, was Dan able to do some heavy lifting on that? Make some.
Yeah, he wiggled his way in there and gave some good advice. So I do attribute a lot of the success with what happened. Beside the fact that I think we were in the right and
Well, yeah.
should have been getting those rural units all along. So, and if the state had just paid us the emergency funding, we probably would not have been requesting to have those rural units forever and ever. So we're better off for them having tried to withhold them from us to start. So in the end, worked out to our favor.
That's great.
It was very fortuitous, and we kind of we gave up the right to go back and ask for the rural units, from 2018 to 2023, but in exchange for getting the money back this year and getting the money going forward, which seems like a very fair trade.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Awesome. Well, thanks, Gabe. Okay, the finance report, Katie's on vacation, so there's probably nothing to say. I mean, that's a pretty good finance report though, getting
Yeah,
those units.
did you have anything on that, or?
So hi everyone, my name is Gowan Hayes. I'm with Axiom. Just here while Katie is away. I really don't have anything. She just wanted to make sure someone was in attendance from Axiom if you had anything that I needed to address while she's out.
Well, thanks for hanging in there with us.
No problem. I am happy about all the units. I know that I did was kind of looped in that conversation, and so I'm glad that things went good. So
That's great. Okay, well, there was no email for comments from the community, so let's adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for your service.
Yes, thank you everyone who has served on this board. I'm not sure if you're gonna just come back or we'll see you again, but thank you for everything to get us to this point.
Thank you, Julianne. You've been amazing.
It has been a pleasure.
Yep. Honor, guys. Thank you.
Glad to do it. All right, thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.